guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. My name's Nastasia, and today we are talking about abuse, which is really dark compared to my peppy intro just now. But I am going to keep it kind of a light topic because the idea of this video is that your abuse does not define you. What's happened in your past does not define you, and even what could be happening right now abusing you does not define you. And it doesn't change your identity at all. So that's what we're talking about. So I am going to keep it kind of light and smiley, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So before I get into it, if you end up liking this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you never miss out on a video every time I post. And hit the bell thing. That's something we're supposed to do now. Go ahead and do it. Okay, so something that I feel like I've talked about pretty openly on my channel, but just in case you're just here, hello, I'm Stas. I have anxiety, and part of it stems from the fact that growing up I didn't have the best, I guess, like, example of men in my life, and my father is very verbally and emotionally manipulative and abusive in my family. I won't be going into that too much, mostly just to protect the privacy of my family, because I don't mind talking about it, but I want to protect my other family members. But just so you know, like, that's something I've gone through, and so I feel like there's not a ton of people talking about that on the internet necessarily, whether they just want to keep their privacy, which is cool, or whether they just don't feel comfortable. But I feel fine talking about it in the sense that I know what it's like, and I think we can fight this together. So, I have never in my life been physically or sexually abused. I am very thankful for that, and I know that's a blessing. I'm very grateful for that. So I do not take that for granted at all, but I also know that that is not necessarily common when it comes to abuse. Like, it's not necessarily common that you get verbally abused, but not physically or sexually abused ever in your life. So I wanted to cover all of those spectrums today, just have kind of like a little talk about all three of those, because it needs to be talked about. So I'm talking mostly to women today, but guys, if you're watching, that's totally cool. It's just that I'm a girl, so this is what I know I've learned from it, but maybe some of these tips are gender neutral that anybody could kind of take. So I think the biggest thing that's difficult about abuse, especially when you grow up with it, of any kind, is that since your brain is developing and just everything you know about the world is developing in those early years, all the way up through, honestly, high school, that's when your brain's developing the most, and you are the most formed in what you know, what you're looking for, your standards, everything like that to go into the real world. And so all three types of abuse we were talking about feel like it's going to ruin our lives, like that it ruins our lives for the rest of our lives. I say feels like because that abuse does not have power over you, and I want you to replay me saying that as many times as you need. It does not have power over you, it does not control you, it does not change who you are, and it does not define you, and you don't have to carry it with you for the rest of your life. You can have been through an awful situation that nobody should ever go through, and I'm so sorry that you've been through that. I truly am. But you are able, if you want to, and through the power of Christ, to take it off your shoulders, set it down, and move on, and not live with that on you anymore. Or you can take it with you and use it for good. But you don't have to take it with you and use it for bad and use it to define you. And so I think one of the biggest lies, especially for women who have had any kind of abuse from a man, one of the biggest issues I think that we face is the lie that this is just how men are. That men are like this, that men are either verbally, emotionally, sexually, or physically abusive. And that's how it is. And without even thinking about it, I think that can form in our brains a lot of times when we go through that, especially in our developing years. This is especially true if your abuse was at the hand of a family member, especially a father, or maybe an older brother or something, or if the dad wasn't in the picture, somebody that was like a father-like figure to you, because that's the first kind of example of a man you have in your life. And if it was a bad one, then you kind of associate all men with that role model. And it's a very real lie that exists in many women's brains. And I want you to assess your brain right now and your thoughts if you've experienced any kind of abuse, and think, do I subconsciously assume that most or all men are like this, either completely or in some way? Because that's a lie that I've had to fight since I was, oh my gosh, like early high school, really, if not farther back than that. Constantly fighting it. I'm talking like all day. And there was an incident this week that I will not go into at all for privacy's sake. But there was an incident where it was an experience that I did witness this past week, where somebody I know was very, very verbally attacked by a man. Very intimidating, very aggressive. And it was to the point that myself and other women around me who have also suffered abuse in the past, were tearing up, very upset, having anxiety attacks, all this stuff because it was that bad. Again, not going into any detail at all about the situation, but it was pretty rough. And that being said, it did bring back the lie in my head and some other girls that have experienced abuse of the same kind or different kinds as myself, that men are like this. And it immediately closed us off, made us scared of the world, and made us cold towards men. Now, the danger of this is that, one, men are not like this. Not men, like men are inherently not like this. It is a sin problem. It is not a gender problem. And that is a lie from the enemy trying to convince you that men are like this. One, to convince you that you can't trust men, and two, to try to turn you against men, so that we're against each other and butting heads and there's strife, okay? That is the goal of the enemy. Men are not the enemy. Satan is. And so anytime Satan can try to turn and push the enemy card onto somebody else, he will. But in those situations, it is hard to think that, oh, men aren't like this is just one guy and stuff like that, because it's scary, especially if you experience this, especially if you don't have like a father figure or something in your life that you can look to and be like, no, men aren't like this, because I had a good person to look up to. So from one girl to another, me being in a situation where I can honestly say it has been a struggle for me to know what kind of man I should be looking for, and certain standards and stuff. I've been self-taught in that regard, and teaching myself what I want, deserve, need, what I should be looking for, instead of just going to what's familiar, which is abusive situations. So I think it's one of those situations where if you've had a past of this, you have to literally take it, honestly, even moment by moment, and you have to manually change the pathways in your brain to, instead of going to what's comfortable, what's known, which is men are like this, close myself off, protect myself, and either be single or be in an abusive relationship. Those are the two options. No, they're not the two options. And every time you think that, you need to manually tell yourself no. And you need to say, no, they're not like this. Men are not like this. This is a sin problem, and this is a lie that Satan is trying to convince me of, and it's not going to work. And you could always, just because one man is like this, you have the power to say, okay, I won't be around that man, or I will not marry somebody like that, or I will not date somebody like that. I won't be friends with somebody like that. I won't let somebody treat me like that. I will stand up for myself. You have the power to do that. So even if somebody is like that and they happen to be a man, you have the power to say no. Like, you have the power to say, please do not speak to me this way. You also have the power to walk away. You have the power to cut off communication depending on the person. Like, so just remember that you are not stuck in abuse. Just because you've experienced abuse, you are not destined for abuse, and you are not stuck in abuse. You have a choice. And if you need help, I will list down below, like, hotlines and stuff, domestic abuse hotlines, stuff like that. All else fails, call 911, call a women's shelter, something like that. I will try to list them down below, though. If you're in a situation where you do feel stuck in a dangerous way, I will have those down below. But just know that it is your choice who is allowed to treat you a certain way, especially if you're an adult and you're able to actually get out of a situation where maybe it was a family member or something. But this is just a talk not to fix your problem, but to tell you I'm right here with you. It sucks a lot, and it's something I have to battle every single day, but it's worth it. Because, no, men are not just like this. People are like this sometimes because we live in a fallen world, and that doesn't give them an excuse to treat you that way. But men in general are not like this. And women in general are not like this. If you suffered abuse from maybe like your mom or something like that, women are not like this. It's just, people have issues, okay? And I'm so sorry you've had to go through something like this. But you are not destined for this. You can set this down and walk away. You can set down the abuse that you've experienced, the abuse you're experiencing, and you can decide, this will not be my future. This will not be it. And either I will marry somebody who is incredible to me, or I will make friends with people who are incredible to me, or I will walk away from people who are not incredible to me. That's your choice. And I think to tell you like that you have the power helps, and it makes you feel empowered. Like, I can walk away from this. I don't have to take this. This isn't how it's supposed to be. And let me tell you right now, abuse is not normal. So if somebody's trying to convince you that's just how it is, that's just how our family is, that's just, no. Not an excuse. This isn't normal. You shouldn't be treated like this, okay? So, just so you know, it's not normal. Yeah, and I don't know, guys. It's something that sucks, and when all else fails, the only one who will never hurt you ever is Jesus Christ, is God. Which is such a relief. But just know that, like, if He's your foundation first, nothing anybody can do will alter where He wants you to be. So, I love you guys so much. I can obviously talk about this more in the future, but I hope this kind of helped you even just feel like somebody can relate to you. As always, if you feel comfortable, feel free to comment down below. But I love you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.